Welcome, everyone, to the first episode of Inside the 18 with our head coach for women's soccer, Kit Vela. I'm Frank Mercogliano, and take a little look back at the season so far and a week ahead for the women's soccer team. And I want to look back first.
Okay.
We're 6 games in, and maybe 6 of the toughest games this program has ever played. You've played 3 ranked teams, the number 1 team in the nation, and this is not a new thing for you guys. You guys schedule like this. Maybe not the number 1 team in the nation, but all the time you guys do this tends to pay dividends and later on in the season. Talk a little bit about your scheduling philosophy.
Well, they never asked us before. We would have done it before. Our philosophy is to try to be the best, you have to play the best. And the only way you learn lessons is to challenge yourself. Our conference, I believe our conference is one of the top in the country. Physically, it's definitely one of the top in the country. RPI-wise, I think RPIs don't necessarily give the whole story. And so we know how well prepared we need to be going into conference, and the only way you can be prepared is if you play top teams in the country. I think it's boded well for us a lot of times when we've beaten teams on the road who have good rankings, high rankings, and North Carolina and Duke, we lost both of those games, which is unfortunate. I thought we competed very well with both of them. So it may not look good in the standings, the win-loss records, but it certainly taught us immeasurable lessons that hopefully we can take into conference this year.
Does it slow play down after you play a team like North Carolina, a Duke, that is so fast and so physical and they have so much international experience that it's such a fast-paced game that after you play those games, do the girls sit there and go, hey, this isn't as fast as those guys?
Well, having never played number 1 and number 12 at the time, that was the lesson we learned. We played Rice on Friday, and Rice is a very good team. I thought we scored some great goals, but that was how it felt when we got into that game, like, wow, we actually have time and we can play. And Michigan State on Sunday, I mean, Michigan State's a very, very good team. I'm sure they're going to get votes in the rankings. I thought we played a very good game against them. Hit the post 3 times, outshot them. I thought run of play, we had the better run of play for the majority of the game. Luck wasn't on our side, and soccer's not always the nicest sport. So they certainly felt like they had time and space that they didn't have the weekend before, and we were able to control the game and control the ball.
And for those that were there or saw the highlights, you can see you guys pretty much dominated Sunday. I don't think I'm stepping out of line by saying that. I don't think Michigan State would argue that the control of play was UNM's. You guys had the better of the opportunities. They get that fluky goal that hits off a defender and goes in. Yeah. I mean, soccer is a cruel, cruel game at times, but what do you get out of a game like that where you dominate, you have the run of play, but you don't get the result at the end of it? What does the team get out of it?
Well, they realized that if they miss their chances early on, you can't have them back. And you have to have more killer instinct inside the box. You have to take advantage of your opportunities. And again, when you get to conference, conference play is crazy. If you have the run and play, you better put the ball in the back of the net. You'll never see that again. And every game is crucial when you get into conference. So, we have 26 underclassmen that are trying to learn those lessons. And I think Sunday we learned immeasurable lessons again. North Carolina and Duke taught us something else. Texas Tech and New Mexico State taught us something else. So I think all 6 games we've gotten a great deal out of them.
One of the things I've noticed as a coach, as a staff for you guys, and you particularly as a coach, and it's something that I've seen a lot, you'll sub forwards, you can sub midfielders, but when you get really comfortable with a back 4 and a goalkeeper, that's my group. Hasn't been the case this year. You started with Brooke Webster, then she got hurt. You end up throwing Savannah Viola, who's really a forward and a midfielder by trade, and hey, let's throw her in against North Carolina in her first start as a defender, and she played great. In that same game, Ashley Espinoza, who hasn't played a whole lot here at UNM, ends up playing, I think she played a career-high 81 minutes in that game. They've now been mainstays for you. And, we have a roster of 35, which it's quite a lot. 35 is a lot. It's a lot of people on a roster, but that breeds a lot of competition in practice. Is that what's happening, that those 2 players, they didn't even get in the game against New Mexico State. Neither of them played, and now here they are against North Carolina playing the entire game and playing really, really well for you. Yeah. Is that what having a roster like that does? It breeds competition?
It breeds competition. It allows us to watch them every day in training and let them understand, even the young players, that every day means something. I think some programs it's not the case. Older players play no matter what. You know, big stars that come in play no matter what. I mean, Savannah is a tremendous player out of Southern California. We knew that. We thought she had great upside as a winger / forward, someplace in that attacking group. And she was training really well, but she wasn't better. Her inexperience made her less than some others, which is the only reason she didn't get in that first weekend. It wasn't because she's not good enough, it's just who she was competing with and her lack of experience. But we liked the edge she was showing every day in training. And, you know, we came in, I just wasn't comfortable with who were getting minutes starting as left back. We have 3 different players that can play if we need them, but they just didn't have the right starting mentality. And so after that first weekend, I came in on Tuesday morning and I said, we're going to try this kid. She's got an edge, she's got an attitude, she's incredibly athletic, and she'll do anything that's asked of her. So we tried her on that Tuesday morning, and it worked in our favor, and she is a great kid, and she's playing really hard and doing the right things. Ashley is an anomaly. She came in as a freshman here with just limited physical abilities. A very good soccer player. She's always been a good soccer player, but physically she just hadn't been given enough as a youth. She's a little girl, and she herself, our program, but what she's done away from here, meaning summer, winter, she's made her little body into a machine. The soccer's still there. We had to speed things up for her and that kind of thing, but she has worked her tail off like I've never seen a kid do before. She earned that right to be on the field against Carolina. And we had an injury in warm-ups, which in 12 years has never happened to me. But we had our starter go down in warm-ups, gave her about 5 minutes. It was Tara Trujillo who had earned that role. You know, it was unfortunate. We tried a freshman. She just mentally isn't there yet, but she's going to be a great player. And Maddie Irwin, she's gotten great minutes. And so Ash was our sort of our third choice at that role, and came on and just took advantage of her opportunity, and she's continuing to do so.
Do you think it helped her that she didn't have time to think about it?
Oh, yeah.
Basically just, hey, you're in. What? Okay, boom. And she's in it, and she played.
Absolutely.
She was unbelievable
Unbelievable.
that game.
And unbelievable against Duke. I mean, and has continued to do so. I think it's given her confidence now. But, yeah, I think if she'd known that she was going to start against Carolina, she would have had more nerves and maybe not had the same success. But Ashley's been buying her time for 4 years, and like I said, she's an anomaly. She's just one of those kids who came in and said, whatever you need from me, coach. And I told the girls the other day, she has a soft spot in my heart and always will, because it was never anybody else's fault. She just understood she had limitations, and she worked on those limitations to the point where they no longer exist.
So all that stuff sets you up for what turns out to be a fairly big weekend for you guys. You're going to St. Mary's. You take on a pretty good St. Mary's squad. They're a little similar to you guys. They played 3 ranked teams. Granted, not Duke and North Carolina, but they played 3 ranked teams.
Good teams, yeah.
Then they're sitting with the same record as we are, 2-4. Then you come back on Sunday and you take on a Pacific team that they haven't gotten the results that they want, but still a pretty dangerous squad. They can score a little bit. They've played pretty good defense. It should set you up. At least these are a little more similar to maybe teams in our conference. The travel's very similar to a conference travel and going to Pacific. How does that, what you've done before, set you up for this weekend, and what are you looking for out of this weekend?
Well, we're looking to hopefully learn lessons that we've accumulated in the last few weeks and start to really hone in on some of those details, putting the ball in the back of the net when you have opportunities, those kinds of things. Be nice. It is a good place to play. We have a lot of Southern California kids, so they'll be able to see their families up there, which, you know, they all like to see their families, and we're not going to Southern Cal this year. So it'll be a big weekend on many different levels. 2 very good teams, again, hungry, like us, trying to just put the ball in the back of the net and walk away with a win. At St. Mary's, which for UOP is kind of like a home game because they play a lot against each other. They both have very dangerous players, and they're both young. And so you look at that and say it's sort of a too similar. We need to get a hold of the ball, do the same things we've been doing, and then create our rewards. And the only way you create the rewards is by sticking the ball in the back of the net. So more lessons to be learned for sure.
And St. Mary's, obviously, in the West Coast Conference.
Both of them are.
With some great opponents that they'll play in conference play.
Absolutely.
So 2 wins would give you 2 wins away from home, and probably a nice little RPI boost as well.
Absolutely. And again, the young kids going on the road again, experiencing what a road trip is like. I know they went to Carolina, but everybody can get up for Carolina and Duke. I mean, that's just kind of a weekend that you go and you hope you compete. This is more of, like you said, more of a conference weekend where, it's a road trip. Let's see what we can do. We've got some tough road trips in conference this year, so let's learn those lessons. Let's stay focused, let's stay on task, and do the things we're capable of doing.
Both of those games are going to be streamed live on St. Mary's website. It is a subscription service, but you can't watch them there. We'll have live stats on the UNM site for both of those matches, and we'll be tweeting from the NM Lobo W Soccer is where we tweet from during the games. I'll be watching and tweeting live from the house. And last week I tweeted, 2 weeks ago I tweeted from church, which was a little interesting, but I had the permission of the folks there, so it was good during the Duke
Any
game.
way you can do it, get our fans up and ready and rooting us on for those goals.
We're taking Lobo soccer to the masses. That's what we're doing. Coach,
so.
we'll see you here next week, where we'll get a chance to recap this weekend and then talk about the tournament coming up and the final. It's unbelievable. I think it's the final non-conference weekend coming up.
Flies by
in 10 days.
Yeah.
For Kit Vela, I'm Frank Mercogliano. This has been Inside the 18 with Kit Vela. We'll see you next week.